All right, here are your blanks for ions. As you write, I will speak. So some of you were asking me, Mrs. Vaughn, I don't know how to find these ions for my elemental discovery project. And I just told you, Google, what ions does gold form? Okay, what does my element form? So here's what an ion is. An ion is an atom of an element that, for some reason or another, now has an unequal number of protons and electrons. So if I have an unequal of positive and negative charges, I go from being neutral, having a net charge equal to 0, to now I am going to have a positive or negative charge. It depends on where that inequality lies. Do I have more protons or do I have more electrons? So an ion is an atom that has a different number of electrons. Why does it have to have the same number of protons? What gives an element its identity? Its atomic number. We talked about it a little bit when we talked about the periodic table. All right, we're just very focused on writing right now. That's fine. So the number of protons cannot change, because if my number of protons changes, my atomic number changes, which would mean my element on the periodic table would change. I can't go from having 5 protons in boron and then gain another proton somehow and have 6, because I wouldn't be boron anymore. Now I would be carbon, because carbon has the atomic number 6. Okay, so it has to be the electrons that are changing. So this means the atom is no longer neutral and will have a charge. If there are more protons than electrons, the charge will be positive. And that's because I have more positive charges than negative charges. And if there are more electrons than protons, the charge is going to be negative. So just a reminder, we've talked about it just a second ago. Electrons have a negative charge and protons have a positive charge. So if I'm gaining electrons, this is where people get a little bit confused, because they think of gaining is the same as adding. So they think positive. But I'm not gaining a positive charge. I'm gaining a negative charge. So I went from having 3 negative charges to now I have 6 negative charges. So I gained 3 more, but that's going to make my number become more negative. So there is a math example up there for you, just so you can see. Those first 2 numbers would represent oxygen in its regular neutral atom state. And then if it gains 2 more negative charges, now I have a net charge of -2. So this next set of table questions, what I want you to use now is your periodic table to fill in these blanks. So now we have the number of protons and the number of electrons, and we also have the charge. What do I know, class, about the atomic number and the number of protons? It always has to be the same. I put up the answers. When I walked around, it looks like most of you all had done a really good job with this.
I think.
So we know the atomic number column and the number of protons columns always have to be the same. So for Cl, there is no Ci on the periodic table because it would be a capital I. Chlorine is always the most difficult element to get you all broken out of. This is Cl, not Ci. So I find this chemical symbol, even though it has a different name for its ion, it's still going to be the same element. So it's still going to have the same atomic number that's in that box with the Cl, which is 17. And then the 19 protons in the last column led me to potassium K. So then for the charges, we just have to pretend that these are positive numbers for my protons. And my electrons are negative numbers, and then I add them together. And that gives me my charge. So So in order to get a charge of +1, do I have to have more protons or more electrons? More protons. How many more protons? One more proton. So the plus or minus is going to be determined on which one I have more of. It will match. And then the number is equal to the difference. So for this one, I needed a difference of 1 positive. For the next one, I have a charge of -3. So class, how many electrons did we have in this ion? 10. 10. Because when I take 7 minus 10, I get -3. For calcium, I have 20 positive charges and only 18 negative charges. So that should be +2. I have 17 positive charges for chloride and 18 negative charges. So 17 minus 18, -1. And then the last one is also a +1. I received a couple questions. Why does this called nitride? Did you mean nitrogen? Did you put chloride instead of chlorine? What do you notice those two have in common besides the last 3 letters in their name? They're the same original element. What do you notice about the information in the table? If I'm looking at nitride and chloride, what do they have in common in the charge column? They're both negative charges. We're going to talk about ion naming in chapter 7. But for now, just trust, little faith, trust, and pixie dust, okay? Matt?
I forgot to name calcium.
Oh, calcium symbol. Thank you. See it. Dalton has already been disproved once whenever we figured out that atoms are divisible into smaller parts called subatomic particles. The discovery of isotopes knocked another part of his theory. So he said all elements of the same element are going to be exactly the same. But what we found is that the number of neutrons in an atom of an element can be different. And then if we have a different number of neutrons, electrons, we don't consider them to have a mass. It's negligible. It's basically 0. Protons have a mass of 1. Neutrons are close enough to the mass of a proton that we also say that they have a mass of 1. Can my protons change without changing the identity of my element? No. Could my neutrons change without changing the identity of my element? Yes. So that change in mass is due to it having a different number of neutrons than other atoms of the same element. So we have a special name for an atom that has a different number of neutrons. It's called an isotope. Unless you are told otherwise, assume that you're dealing with neutral atoms. Isotopes will look unique because its name has to include its mass number. So we might want to make a note. Mass number does not appear on the periodic table. Now, in 7th grade or 8th grade, whenever you took physical chemistry in like the lower levels in physical science, and you talked about protons, neutrons, and electrons before, they might have told you, look at the number that's a decimal in the periodic table and round it, and that's its mass number. That is not true. So the mass number is unique to the isotope, and it will be connected to its name. So when I'm calculating a mass number, it will also be a whole number because I'm going to take my number of protons and my number of neutrons and add those together. And I can't have parts of a proton or a neutron. They have to be whole numbers. So whenever we are differentiating our isotopes from our neutral atoms, we include the mass number in the name. So we can either put the element's name and its mass number with a hyphen. We can write it with the chemical symbol and just its mass number. We can use its symbol and a hyphen, or we can use something special called symbolic notation. We'll talk more about symbolic notation on the next slide. There's some extra white space where you'll be able to take a couple notes. So in nature, most elements are actually found as isotopes. They're not neutral. Remember I said that they don't like to be by themselves? So in nature, we also don't just generally have one kind of isotope. Some elements do, but a lot of elements actually have a mixture of isotopes. And then those isotopes have a constant relative abundance. So what relative abundance is, it's a percent. So after you fill in your blank, you might want to put a percent sign to remind yourself. So you'll see some examples of that. The relative abundance we're going to save until Friday when we talk about where that decimal number on the periodic table actually comes from. It's an average atomic mass. We'll worry about calculating those on Friday. But what we are going to look at today is if we're given the isotope, can we figure out how many protons and neutrons it has? And can we write its symbolic notation correctly? So just to clarify symbolic notation, notes that you might want to add in here. That number on top, 63, that's the mass number. And the number to the bottom left is the atomic number. Is equal to my number of protons. And my mass number is equal to my protons plus my neutrons. So these will both always be whole numbers. And then since we're talking about symbolic notation, we don't want to use the element's name. We want to use its symbol. So you, in symbolic notation, will have the element symbol, superscript to the left, mass number, protons plus neutrons, lower left subscript, atomic number. Where can I find the atomic number for an element with confidence? Where can I find an element's atomic number? The periodic table. Will I find a mass number on the periodic table? No. Okay, so using that information, let's try example number 13. Atomic number and my number of protons will always be the same as long as the atom is not going from one element to another. So there would have to be some sort of chemical reaction for that to occur. That's not happening here. So then my mass number is equal to my protons plus my neutrons. So if I want to find out how many neutrons I have, that's equal to my mass number minus my protons. Weird, it's like I set the table up this way on purpose. So now all you have to do is take your mass number minus your number of protons, and that should give you the neutrons. Questions there? Fantastic. So then we should have 26, 31, 62, You guys want to double check my subtraction? Good? Fantastic. So then, symbolic notation. Most people do a pretty good job of remembering that the atomic number needs to go on the bottom left. So I'm just going to take my atomic number for all of these. I just went to the periodic table, borrowed symbol, and went ahead and wrote that down. So the atomic number is always going to go on the bottom left. And the mass number always goes on top. For some reason, whenever I have you all find out how many neutrons are in something, often I will see several students that will take the number of neutrons and put it there instead. So it's always the mass number. The neutrons are not going to appear alone in the symbolic notation. It's just the protons in the form of the atomic number. So you just have to go over to the mass number column and copy all of those. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? All right, so you're going to need your Chromebooks for the next part. We are finished with our notes. We're going to